co-presenting with me, my friend Shijun and co-founder of Rengage. He wasn't supposed to come because he was in Shanghai. And then suddenly he landed and said, hey, I'm here, I'm coming down. He just came 2 days ago, and he's one of those guys who doesn't get a jet lag, so I'm really jealous of him. So Rengage is a seed stage startup. I'll give you kind of an overview. But me and Shijun worked together back at Uber. And we actually worked close to the temporal guys. And I'll tell you about that story with Max and Summer. But Shijun and I been together for a few years, 3-4 years at Uber. I joined them in 2017. We built like a workflow engine also as well, but we focused really on the business case of marketing. So in that space, it's very interesting because you're also the same thing. You're depending on data for really not just sending customer messaging and all that, but you're depending on it for analytics and metrics. So we started together at Uber, we built something, and we thought, hey, why don't we take the same idea and kind of scale it also to companies who want to do that with the same experience that we had at Uber. So we went in and raised some money. These are our investors. We actually raised from one of our competitor products called Braze. He's the co-founder of that company, and he now has his own venture. So we raised 3.2. So we're still kind of early in our stage, but we were able to quickly raise money. We built a team in Shanghai. We have now, how many engineers, Shijun, do we have?
We have 12.
12? Okay, 12 engineers. So Shijun is like crazy about hiring, He's just going and hiring right away. So I'll tell you a little bit about Rengage. So we thought, what is the best way that we can take this idea forward? So one thing is we wanted to build an all-in-one stack for growth marketing. If you're not familiar with growth marketing, it's also called lifecycle marketing, but it's after you have acquired the customer, what do you do with them? Basically, you take them through a life cycle. You activate them, you convert them, then you basically try to make them into a loyal customer. And to do that, there's a lot of outbound channels that you need to use. So you use email, push, SMS, and even in-app messaging. In fact, we use SendGrid. So SendGrid is one of our, where's SendGrid? Absolutely. It's one of the best products actually we use today to will you SMS. So we build on top of SendGrid, but we make it so simple for a marketing team, a very small marketing team, 1 or 2 people, to manage the same experience that Uber would have. So that's really what Rengage is about. There's a lot of data that we actually get from our customers, and I'll show you that, and we have a quick demo. We're one of those guys that like to do demos always on stage, and hopefully it works this time. Okay, so what is the stack about? We have customer segmentation. So we have a nice tool. It's like the high touch or segment where you can come and actually segment your customers, build these segments and audiences. We have a journey builder, which is the core of our product. It's called the Journey Builder, and we built it on top of an open source stack. And basically, it takes all your different events, and you can actually track these events over a workflow and then fire an action against the user. And then we have real-time insights. And initially, we struggled a lot with real-time insights. We wanted to be real-time or near real-time, and we didn't find something that really matches. And thankfully, I think when I looked at the slide, yeah, it is real-time. We used actually ClickHouse for that. It actually provided us that kind of real-timeness, and I'll show you actually in the demo. It's really quick that you can actually go and grab the data instantly, and ClickHouse really provides us that kind of speed and performance too as well. Okay, so what is the stack like when it comes to the data piece? We actually have a lot of customer data. So for example, we actually ingest probably a couple of terabytes at least from one of our customers. It's not much data, but the data has to come at a very high volume. And it consists of 2 things: events, so everything the customer does on the products. For example, if you're an app, you have the click, you have the open the app. All these events are coming through the customer from a pipeline, and that pipeline could be Rudder Stack or Segment or any product that the customer uses, or even they can just push the data to us directly. So we have an ingestion pipeline that we built in-house, and then we transform that data, transform it into something that we can actually use and utilize, and then we have to put it in a warehouse. Now, the challenge that we had is we needed a warehouse that is somehow accessible like an OLTP. We needed a warehouse, not just cold data, we throw it in and forget. We wanted a warehouse that we can basically grab all that data back and instantly access it real time for the customer as they use our product. And we'll show you a demo how that is grabbed from ClickHouse. Surprisingly, we initially said, hey, it's a startup, let's use MySQL now and figure it out later. But of course, we got screwed up right away. So MySQL didn't scale. And in fact, it was too slow. So we tried Snowflake, but we were gonna basically go bankrupt because it's too expensive. And then suddenly we said, hey, there's these guys at ClickHouse. It seems like a good product. It's open source. Let's try it out. We liked it. And then we tried the paid version, and it was actually pretty much, reasonably, priced versus anything else in the market. So as I said, we tried a lot. So my team and Shijun's team, actually specifically, they did different vendors, and they really have a nice, if anyone is interested, they did like a nice table of comparison and features. Our favorite was really ClickHouse and Apache Pinot. Those were the two favorites from the speed and performance perspective. But ClickHouse was the easiest to use. To be honest with you, it's so easy to use. And as we go through why, I'm not an engineer, but I can, kind of figure things out. And I was able to run it on my laptop and, just running queries from my laptop. And that was such an interesting experience, just something that you can easily start within less than actually a few minutes. Actually, you can get up and start. So Shijun, maybe you can walk us through the architecture and how I actually use ClickHouse today. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I think Akram already mentioned one very important reason. He can run the query by himself, not bother me. Through the ClickHouse, that's actually the very convenient feature I like most. So, and the other reasons why we choose ClickHouse is actually from this architecture you can see. So we actually have different sources of customer data. So we need a very flexible data schema for us to ingest the customer data from different sources. It can be a customer warehouse, can be a streaming data from those live events, and also the structured data from whatever the table, in the customers, the data structure. And once it's come into our, we call it the CDP, which is the customer data platform. So this CDP is actually, first of all, it has to be able to process, to understand the different format of the data. So we actually found a lot of the connectors which already built by ClickHouse or the open communities, which can take the data from one data source and do the transformation and put into our data warehouse based on our data schema. So the data mapping become very easy after we switch from MySQL to ClickHouse. And secondly, so like Akram mentioned, we need to process a lot of data and in the real time or near real time. So that means every data get ingested into the database. It has to be surfaced to the customer in a real time manner, show them hey, we are sending an email, and if the customer click the email, and we need to show and aggregate how many clicks we so far as of now the received from the user, and also show some kind of the information to our customer. Hey, this email has fast content that can attract the customer attention or not. Those kind of things has to become in a very timely manner. So that we can capture all the best touch point we can engage with those customers. So which we tried with different database, and eventually we choose ClickHouse, and so far, at least I'm super happy about it. So talking about the user experience, I'm gonna show a few demos in the later time. So about our product and how we actually power those the user experience through ClickHouse.
Okay, sounds perfect. Okay, so the first thing we use ClickHouse for is real-time analysis. So real-time analysis means we launch these journeys for the customer, and they send messages. Now the customer wants to understand what happened to that journey. How many people are really got this message? What's the aggregation? And they want to know it right away. They don't want to wait, a few days to get that information. So I'll switch to my demo environment. Shijun, do you want to talk or do you want to demo? What do you want to do?
I can do maybe a quick demos first, and then you can talk.
Okay, so let's do the demo with you. Yeah. So we'll show maybe the metrics, and then we show insights, and then trace user. So this is basically our product. So actually, before you go, can I actually explain it to them maybe? So our product is consisting of multiple modules, as I said. So you have all this data is coming from the warehouse ClickHouse here. So this is aggregation instantly of a customer. And basically, we have an audience or segmentation that's also built on top of ClickHouse. It's basically queries that run and basically aggregate the customers and create these audiences. And then the journeys product, which was our workflow. And in that experience, it's basically a workflow engine, and then it requires to grab as much data as it can for aggregation. So I'll show you one of those customers. Where is the journey? So these are the customer journeys. We organize it also by life cycle over here. And that data that you saw that loading, that's actually loading ClickHouse data right away. And what you're seeing is just a live journey that's sending emails to customers. So this is a customer getting some events. This is an email that's going to be sent. I'm just going to show you quickly. And that email should be sent after the customer does some action. Now, one of the key challenges that we have is you want to see metrics right away. So Shujun, why don't you show us?
Yeah. So hopefully it will work this time.
I can hold it for you. I can hold it. Okay.
No worries. So basically, so like Akram mentioned, the user gonna enter this user journey through some certain events. For example, here, so we capture, sync one of the events the customer sent to us.
Yeah, it's the event.
Yeah, so like for example, team created, whenever the user created a new team, we receive this event, and immediately we want to process the events to send the email. But how we show if the customer received the email or not, that actually comes through the metric table tab. So if you click that, and click this node, it will show you how many users enter this node, and also.
It's the other way around. Yeah, actually, let me wait for you.
Oh, okay. I see. So you can see also the delivery rate and open rate, so on and so forth. Another feature I want to show that which is actually powered by the super low latency capability from ClickHouse is the tracing.
But before we do that, Shujun, so before we show that other feature, if you see here, each node has data on it. That data is actually coming instantly from ClickHouse. So if I just go to another journey over here, this is another customer, for example. And this is a simple journey, but clicking metrics, you see that later? This is 146 rows just loaded, instantly aggregated across that customer. And the thing is, every node is an aggregate, is a column in ClickHouse aggregating that data. And that's what we really love about ClickHouse, just the fact that I can instantly get that data. That's beautiful. That's really something that we really appreciate. So let's show them the next feature that you wanted to show.
Yeah. So if you want to figure out how the user move across this graph, so you can basically just for example, I just choose the one node at the very bottom, and here is the users on this node. I just take one of the simple users, and I go to the tracing, and just paste the user ID here. So you can see it's basically show you the task the user has taken on this graph to reach out to the certain nodes, and this data come immediately from ClickHouse. Every user enters the journey, and they're gonna take the very different route on the graph, and every move is actually, even it's just to start from a single event, but associated to that event is gonna be maybe 100, 200 associated events to that one, and we aggregate everything and trace down the every user move. So that's actually require a lot of the data to be processed in the real-time manner, so we can show these things to the customer. So yeah, that's pretty much the tracing.
And then maybe show insights.
Oh yeah, right. So we also have this insights. For example, if you go to the insights type, so first of all, it will show you the users entered, how many users entered this journey, and also for example, the channel metrics. It will show you the click-through rate, open rate, so on and so forth. Those data in orange node, for example, we're using Centigrade. Centigrade has the webhook call us to drop all these events for us. So we have those events goes to the ClickHouse, and underneath the aggregation pipeline keep just do the aggregation of the data and put all the data through the API and to serve the UX experience here. Before we switch to the ClickHouse, I remember that happened about the March of this year. So whenever I open this page, so I'm not kidding, so you can see a lot of spinning icon on the UI running there for several seconds. Every time I saw those spinning icon, that make me feel very anxiety. I don't know why it's gonna complete, but now literally I won't see any spinning icon anymore after switching.
Sounds good.
Lowers your blood pressure?
definitely lowered his blood pressure because I was not texting him all the time. But one thing I like really about ClickHouse, so if you go to Insights over here, now this is a campaign and someone wants to know how much did this campaign attribute in terms of revenue. So this is $7,000 worth of revenue. So how did it get that data? So basically we have all this data in ClickHouse, the order of events and the pricing of each event that has. And all what we do is just run a query and instantly you can get that data. So if I go here and I'm going to change it for her for now and we can change it. If I want to say, what is attribution? Basically think about it this way. Every time you send an email to a customer, you want to know which email actually had the effect. Of course, you cannot get it accurately. So we use some model called lost touch attribution or first touch attribution. Lost touch means the lost engagement to the customer is the one that basically attributed to the revenue. If it's the first attribution model, it's the first communication. There's something called multi-touch, but that's a discussion for another day. But we can do lost and first touch attribution by just a click. And basically that goes to work ClickHouse, makes sure that we can actually aggregate all that data and bring it right here. So if I change that attribution window from 5 days to 1 day, basically that goes to ClickHouse and changes that data right away. So it's going to be calculating and it's going to be refreshed right away. By the way, that calculating is an error on our side. It shouldn't be right away, right? Shouldn't?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see, it changed it from 7,000 because the attribution window is different. If we change it 5 days, it should go back. Okay. It should work right away, and I don't know that calculating requires a refresh, but we know that's a bug on our end. Okay, so this is kind of showing you what we did at Rengage here using ClickHouse. And then the last just thing to kind of talk about why we chose it. The ease of use is really amazing. I think everyone in our team loves the ease of use. It's so easy to start with. The performance is really amazing. We use the cloud service, so we're really happy with that performance. We also like the fact that we can spin off an open source environment just for us, for the developers, and they really can use that. Cost is really a fraction of what we used to pay before. And it's really flexible in the way that you can host it on your own environment, or you can actually just use their cloud service right away. And this is just something from my experience. I've been in Microsoft, I've been in EMC, Uber, bigger companies, and I've seen how vendors treat me at those companies and how vendors treat me now. And I can tell you, I've seen ClickHouse treating me as a startup. It is amazing. It's just, and I had another vendor I was dealing with, like a big, huge vendor. I'm not going to say a cloud provider. They deleted our environment, shut it down for some stupid reason, and it took support 1 week to respond to us. And this is because, hey, we're a startup, who cares? But ClickHouse showed us as if we are tier 1 company, and I really love that. And when Mike told me, hey, would you come and talk to them? Absolutely, man. I would come and talk anytime. So thank you so much, and if you have any questions, I'll open it up for questions.